Welcome back to West Ham on Official. I hope you are all well. We are back for the Premier League Roundup show. I'm joined by Shaun. Shaun, how are you?
Good evening. Very, very good, Jake. Not too bad at all.
Good. A season of chat. Good evening, everyone. Pete, hope you are well. Hope everything is well with you. Would you say it's been quite an eventful weekend of Premier League football, Shaun?
There's been bits and bobs going on out there. A few people having cries over VAR, but I think we're accustomed to that now. Yeah, and I think there's been a bit of managerial news tonight, so I'm sure you'll get into. So there's always something to talk about over a Premier League weekend.
There certainly is. And we're going to start off with a little bit of Friday night football. Now, one of the big shocks of the weekend, I think you will agree, Watford 0, Norwich 3. What did you make of that, Shaun?
Well, this is the Friday night game. I don't want to sound like a typical Premier League snob, but it's probably not often many people would watch this game as a neutral, is it, to be honest? You'd normally watch a Norwich or a Watford when they're against one of the big teams, and you probably give them no chance. But I was at a loose end Friday. Me and my little lad, we sat down and watched it. And I'll be honest, I could tell not many people watch it. The quality of the 3-0, it is brilliant win for Norwich. Can't take it away from them. Obviously, Ranieri lost his job today by the sound of it, because of it.
Yeah.
But the quality of the football, it was terrible on both sides. Teams, I think, were spoiled. I mean, I think most of us probably do watch the upper teams in the league more often than not. When you watch two of the poorer sides against each other, they couldn't string more than 2 or 3 passes together half the time. Probably a ball that, when you watch some of the better teams, not the top teams, just the better teams, a more simple ball which you're accustomed to seeing going to feet or into the right channels. It was just go through ball straight to centre half, through ball, goal kick, switch ball, throw in. It was. It sounds bad, but I couldn't help but laugh at it. And I got a few Bristol City fans from the Championship, and I said, these teams yo-yo up and down, Norwich and Watford. And I thought, sure, and I've watched a bit of Championship football. Surely it can't be a lot better than the Championship standard. But there you are. It was 3-0 in the end. I think the American chap scored an outrageous. I think he was American, didn't he? The one that got 2. Is he American?
Yeah.
One with the big hair. He scored a bit of an outrageous flick that got a bit of a check on VAR. I might come back to that VAR check, because I think it was Pookie sort of put one hand on the defender and he went down really easy. But rightfully, they had a little look at it and nothing come of it. It'd go down as a brilliant win and the end of Ranieri's tenure as Watford manager at the end of the day. And I think we'll probably all both agree that it might still be too late for Norwich, because I think they've played more games than everyone else down the bottom, in the bottom half. So I think is it 2 wins in a row they've got? I know they've got. Yeah. I think they did. Didn't they do 2 wins in a row about 6 weeks ago? I remember he mentioned they went on a mini run, didn't they, with Dean Smith come in? But so now it's another mini run. Look, I'll say the same as I said last time. It's worth keeping an eye on them, and it's your guess as good as mine who's going to be brave enough to take the Watford job.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I think I saw somebody put a stat on. They've had 15 managers since the 2013 season. I mean, let's take some of your comments. Evening, where's Dak? Josh couldn't be with us this week, but I'm sure he will return next week. James, hope you are well. Terry, hope you are well. Have you quite got over Saturday yet, Terry? Sunday, I wasn't over it. Today, I've just about got over it. Next up, then, let's have a look at the Premier League app and see what we got as we move into the Saturday then. So, next up, Southampton 1, Man City 1. A shock as we were listening to this, not going to lie. A shock.
I'm sure I said to you last week that this was the game where I fancied Man City's end might stutter to a halt. I'm sure I said it to you. But, I think Southampton haven't lost many at home. That's sort of why I went down that route, and don't know. I just don't think Man City were quite at their very best. And Man City are going to do that if they play a very similar way all the time, a little bit like Barcelona did years ago under Pep. They got their way of playing. Sometimes it just teams just set up against them and it just doesn't happen. Obviously, he went 1-0 down. Kyle Walker-Peters, another player Tottenham probably shouldn't have sold. He went through and it lovely finished the outside of his boot. But I think Man City, if they just bang the drum for long enough, you know they're going to get one at least. But I think it was 13 wins on the spin in the end for Man City, and I did fancy it might come to an end there, and that's where it has ended. But Southampton will better cover them a bit. I think Hasenhüttl, I think he's another manager that goes through spells. I think the managers, their fans, 1 minute they love him, next minute you think, oh, hang on a minute, they're on a bit of a bad run. But it's Southampton, he's done a good job there, so you can't knock it. And I'm sure now Man City will probably go on another run. Well,
probably, and when you saw Man City get the goal back to 1-1, you thought, yeah, they'll go and get a second and third now. But fair play, it sounded like on the radio coming back from Manchester, it sounded like Southampton defended really, really well.
Yeah.
Up next, then. Go on.
You carry on, mate. You carry on.
Up next, we're going in reverse order because I want to, because it just gets the West Ham game just a little bit further away. Next up is Brentford1, Norwich2. What is going on at Wolves? Brentford?
You're on Wolves, aren't you, mate?
Brentford 1, Wolves 2. There we go.
Oh, I don't know. It's almost like Brentford are trying their hardest to get dragged into it, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
I'm sure. Was it last week I said that I think they might scrape up this year, but next year, I don't know what the plans are. You might start to worry. I don't know. You said I think the bottom three have been the bottom four have been so atrocious. You'd be amazed if another one got dragged into it. But they keep the hard to beat Brentford is sort of fizzling out a little bit. In the beginning of the season, everyone. It was a bit like Plucky Leeds, isn't it? It was Plucky Brentford, wasn't it? They were the flavour of the month. But yeah, you're right. They sort of, it's almost like they're just trying to get dragged into it. I don't know. Obviously, these teams come out of a small squad. I don't know if their legs are going a little bit because it's hard graft in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Leeds have found out this year. I know they've had injuries, Leeds, but if you're half your game's all about working hard, hassling, forcing errors, at some point your legs, that's going to take a toll on your legs. And look at Leeds that they've had. I think they got 10 injured. 5 of those have hamstring injuries. That's not a coincidence. That's fatigue. That's just probably overtraining. End of the day, if you haven't got quality, same as at any level of football, kids football. My lad played a game yesterday. They played a bit of a rough old team from Bristol. My lad's team were far better footballers, but they lost 1-0 because they played against a horrible bunch of lads who just kicked ankles. You know what I mean? It's still a thing. But Wolves, they probably won't get there, but they're on a good run and they're worth keeping an eye on. They're around West Ham sort of territory now, aren't they? So,
yeah, it's an interesting game because you've got the likes of down the bottom, you've got the likes of Leeds, Everton, and Brentford doing their best to get dragged into it, and then Wolves have been not the talk of the weekend, but Wolves fans have been going on big social media platforms. One on, I think it was on 606 coming back from Manchester, said, why is nobody talking about Wolves? You've gone on a fantastic run, sitting in 8th position, and the only way is up for them at the moment. But
I think they've got games in hand on West Ham as well. They can go above them or level them or something like that.
Probably most games have got games in hand on us, but Terry said deflated after Saturday with some up nicely. Got the car key fixed today though. Basically, what happened? We went up to Manchester and we went with Terry. And Terry basically, when he opened the door of the car alarm went off until he put the key in. But he got that fixed today. Well done, because we were in Manchester and the car alarm started going off, and you can imagine. Give Rafa the Watford job, finish the job he started with Everton. That's brilliant. Check. That other young genius, Greta, was inquiring about your January carbon footprint. It's had a battering in January and December, pretty much. We've done some miles, that's for sure. We have done some miles. It cheered us up though. It did. It was probably one of the highlights of a pretty dull dull game. But next up then, Leeds 0, Newcastle winner. John Joe Shelby free kick, bringing Newcastle back up a bit. What is going on?
Yeah.
Everything's turning on its head. Sure.
You can't. Well, we're trying to relegate these teams every week, aren't we?
I know.
But as you all know, I got a bit of a very close friend who's a Leeds fan, and he had a little bit of a sulk and refused to reply to some messages. I did follow this game quite close because one of the teams I do follow. In all fairness to Newcastle, that's a brilliant win. Leeds United for a while now, well, since they've been in the Premier League, they have loads of chances. I call them the seat breaker team sometimes because it's just chance, but 9 times out of 10 it's a half chance, a rash finish, a snatch. You know what I mean? And they had a few of those, not as many as normal. They had a few, but Newcastle I think they had probably the 3 best chances to score in the game. And I think Alan Shearer retweeted it on Twitter. I think they're unlucky not to have a penalty. I think they're sort of ones. It looked like it did sweep his leg enough for it to be a pen. So I think Leeds fans can't cry about lack of injuries forever, because at the end of the day, as you know, as a West Ham fan, it's a squad game. And you're probably finding out more than anything in this last 7 days. If you don't use your squad, you're going to stutter and eventually start to lose games. That is just what's going to happen. It doesn't matter if you've got injuries or if you just don't trust your bench, maybe like Moyes, Bielsa. Build your squad. You're a Premier League club now. I won't accept that as an excuse. They're out there representing Leeds United. They're not out there representing Leeds under 23. But credit to Newcastle. Didn't see it coming. I really didn't. No. And what have we got now? We've got a week left on the transfer window. I think it ends on the 1st or the 2nd. I can't remember. Let's see what they get in. We're trying to relegate them, but they're having a little laugh back at us this week.
Well, I mean, we can sit a week on week saying who we think is going to get relegated. It's probably changed completely this week. It's just mad. But of course we will keep a close eye on this relegation battle, because I think it might go down to the wire the way it's going at the moment. Hello, gorgeous people. Happy I'm alright. Hope you're well. I'm well, thank you. We will be better when we have a striker. Yeah. I think all of us West Ham fans will be a little bit happier if we can just get a couple of signings over the line. A week left, who knows what will happen? But next, it's our game. That's brilliant. I'll say my little bit first. Manchester United 1, West Ham 0. Of course, we went up there. You can check out the vlog on the channel put up yesterday. It was deflating. I said it on my fan cam on West Ham Fan TV after. It's no team deserved to win that football match. It was cruel the way we lost it. I thought no team deserved 3 points out of that. It was 2 very poor attacking sides coming up against each other who could defend reasonably well. And Man United was just Man United. We lost the ball in the 93rd minute. We were exposed down that left-hand side, 3-on-1. Bang, bang, bang. Cavani passes the ball to Rashford and he taps it in. Old Trafford goes ballistic. 3,000 West Ham fans just put their head in their hands. It was cruel. Shaun, your thoughts on the game? Your thoughts on the potential offside in the build-up?
I'll cover the offside first. I think we mentioned last week about different angles and different grounds, different stadiums. Makes it hard to truly see and compare, because obviously, naturally, fans of all sorts of teams will look at that. Oh, that's onside. Look at this offside we've had last season or whatever. I'm trying to avoid that because, like I said, the cameras are all so different. You can't tell. I've seen a few sort of these like grids and lines and all that malarkey put on. From what I've seen of the lines which look the fairest, I thought it was probably just onside. Just onside. And even if it wasn't, even if it's really close, I think if they're that close, they should be given, because the benefit should go to the attacker if it's that close. But we didn't see it. They didn't really show it on the TV, did they? Really, they've tried to get away with it.
One thing, and I think it was a West Ham fan put this on Twitter yesterday as well, is the fact that you had you had one given offside of it. Oh, I forgot it was against. It was Harry Kane.
Yeah.
And that was given offside. Now I don't see much of a difference. I actually, when I look at those two VAR lines, I think that the Cavani, and this isn't me being biased, this is me looking at the lines there. I believe that Cavani looked more offside than Kane did. I thought you were very harshly wrong there. And the way I look at that is, I'm looking at the green line, which is saying onside, and I'm seeing Cavani's tip of his head, about half of his head is just over that, and I'm like, what is going on? And the fact that they haven't got there's hundreds of cameras in these stadiums, and the fact that in a Premier League stadium we haven't got a side-on angle that's directly there, that's showing you, or a bird's eye view over the top of it so you can see, is embarrassing to Premier League football. I think to have to look at it like this, so say it's here, to have to look at it from like this up here, for one, is embarrassing. And all these lines and grids, I'm getting bored of it, Shaun. I'm getting bored of VAR. I'm getting bored of all of it.
Well, funnily enough, I'll totally agree with you, but I did a bit of research on this the other day. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine, like I always do about football most days. And I said to him the same as I say to you about the cameras. So I did a bit of research. In the Premier League, for a VAR decision, they have got 5 cameras. That is what they use. They use 5 cameras. And I think they've got a camera on the 18-yard line. They've got a camera on either side of the pitch. And I think it's a standard stadium view and one other. In the World Cup coming up, they're using 33.
Yeah.
Okay. Including slow motion cameras. It's hard to compare. Obviously, the Kane one, they used the proper lines that they did last season. I don't even know if they did that with the Cavani one, did they? Did they put those multicolored lines on? I can't remember. And the lines are nearly on top of each other. And I said that even if it's that close, the lines are on top of each other, I think it should be advantage to the striker. And I think it's supposed to. I think they brought that in. But the camera view is just so shocking. If you 33 is probably closer to what it should be in every single game.
Yeah.
Why they can't have, I don't know, say we've got 4 sides of a pitch, if you cut it in half. Why can't you have 5 on each side, if that makes sense? So that's 20 cameras. So that's 20 cameras, and you can have, and then you can consult the other ones. So then you can get lots of different angles. But anyway, I've got a question to ask you and the West Ham fans anyway, enough of that.
Yeah, go on.
After, obviously, I followed the game a little bit and read a bit. It sounded like a bit of a shocking game.
Yeah.
Man United, I've watched them quite a bit recently. When they play, I have United fans message me. The last 3 games they've played, I think it's Brentford once and Villa twice in the Cup. They said, I can't believe we won that game. United have not deserved to win any of those 3 football matches. I think they won 2 and drawn 1.
Yeah.
When I look at David Moyes, how he sent you there, when I look at his 1 sub compared to United's 3 subs, it just tells me he went for the point.
It's difficult because, I mean, the difference was in the end the subs, because the 3 subs that came on were the 3 directly involved in the Manchester United goal: Cavani, Rashford, Martial. Yeah, I mean, they've got those players to bring off the bench. Sancho didn't even come off the bench. £73 million just didn't even come off the bench. And yeah, he could have brought Vlasic on, which I thought he could have done for the likes of a Fornals or a Lanzini on the 60th or the 70th minute. But if I'm being honest with you, Shaun, we haven't got much more than that. I mean, you could bring on Yarmolenko, but he's going to run around, he's going to do a step over it, he ain't going to do much more. I can see why you're saying that. And the only sub he made was a defensive one, a right back for a right back. He should have, probably should have just chucked, took off a midfielder and just went for it, maybe. Or was he just going up and thinking, oh, this is Man United, let's just get a point and then we can move on. Let's take some of your comments. Can't see a centre back coming in now. Zuma is back early and looking immense. VAR to rescue the Red Devils. Scott, hope you're well. Rumour has it that Moyes is waiting for FIFA 23 before he delves into the transfer market. Honestly, it's beginning to get frustrating now. The thing that's winded West Ham fans up is his post-match interview and the tone of his post-match interview. I don't know if you've seen it, Shaun, and you're nodding your head. What I'm going to say is the tone of it sounded very, of course he was disappointed in the result and how it happened, but the way he spoke about transfers has really, really frightened West Ham fans. The fact that he said in the 2 years we haven't found our striker that we want, and he said, I think he said along the lines of, I can make no guarantees that we're going to sign any players.
To be honest, I didn't hear that. When you started saying about his interview, I was thinking back towards the Leeds game. Remember last week? He lost his head a bit. But I'll cover the transfer and go back to Moyes a minute. Transfer, I think a lot of fans of a lot of clubs are going to have a wake-up call in this next week that there's not a lot of money around. Do you know what I mean? Like, Conte's coming to Tottenham. I know we ain't got loads of money, but I think most fans thought we had a bit of money to play with. Now it turns out we might be able to buy one, and we have to shift 3 or 4 off the wage bill on loan to even be able to afford to get another 1 or 2 in. So I think I don't think maybe football fans, it's frustrating, I get that, but I don't think many fans, because we're not going to think about the money too much. We want our teams to do well. But I think this COVID has knocked clubs for sick financially. I think clubs are also now maybe a bit scared to let talent go because it's harder to get it in again. But on Moyes, I just a bit related to the Man United game. I know you said it was United. You probably got the league table in front of you. That was a game that West Ham, with United looking very exposed through the middle and at the back, you had to go there and try and win it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But with Moyes, I know you said about Yarmolenko and Vlasic, like the fringe players, that maybe aren't quite good enough. Did Yarmolenko start against Norwich in the home game against Norwich? Probably not.
No.
That's right then. That he doesn't want to use his squad. They're the poor team in the league. You know you've got Leeds always going to give you a tough game, and United coming up. That's where you've got to gamble a couple of your squad in that game. You've just got to. Even you said last week you didn't even play that well against Norwich, but that was your game where you had to do it. Or even the FA Cup. I don't even think he started in the FA Cup, did he, Yarmolenko? If he's good enough for the bench, he had to pick him in one of those 2 games just to give Bowen a rest. Bowen's been your star going forward. Get him off the field. Save him for United. Now, after the Leeds comments, he's obviously had a little moan about transfer at United. I just wonder whether he's just starting to lose his head a little bit, whether he's getting frustrated, whether he's spotting the squad just... Well, his best 11, they struggle.
David Moyes is very picky with his players, and you know the fact is West Ham fans going, you know what, if you can't find your perfect player, you must have a list of a couple of strikers that you think are decent. Don't try and get that perfect player. Half decent player, I think West Ham fans would say, is better than the perfect player. Somebody is better than nothing, as long as they're not blimmin', somebody stupid, I don't mind. But we are going to have to move on. Sorry all of your comments, but we are going to have to move on. Next game, quick fire. We've got to do this quickly. Everton 0, Villa 1. Josh isn't here this week, but very, very, very quick fire. Josh, Shaun, your thoughts on that?
Keep it short, mate. Obviously, big dunk on Everton. I think he's obviously G'd up the team, but you just got to keep an eye on Villa. I think they probably unlucky and only to win by 1-0. I think it probably should have been 2 or 3. And the Villa, they've got owners who probably, for some reason, skipped the COVID struggles, and I think they'll just continue to back Gerrard all the way. So great win, Everton. I think their players are just nowhere near good enough to what their fans think they should be.
Yeah, right. Let's move into Sunday's games because I do want to focus on the Liverpool and Spurs game mainly. Let's start off with the 2 Duff games. Arsenal 0, Burnley 0 to start with. Shaun,
I do not know a lot about this game, mate. So how short do you want to keep it?
It was. I'll tell you what. I'll do this game because I watched the majority of this. It was an atrocious game of football. Burnley put 11 men behind the ball and went for the point. And fair play to them, they got the point. They defended really well. Arsenal couldn't break them down. And to be honest with you, I would say for the bits of it that I watched, I probably watched an hour of it. From what I watched of it, Burnley had the better chances. Ramsdale was a very lucky boy. He's been good this season, but he was a very lucky boy. He went out for a punch and completely missed it. And it was lucky that I think it was Tierney was there to clear it before Rodriguez tapped it into an open net. And Arsenal fans are up in absolute mayhem again because they didn't beat Burnley. And yeah, that's nice to see. Burnley, thank you very much. Dan, if you're watching, you did us a favour. You did us a favour there. So as you can imagine, a Burnley game that was 0-0, it was not the most entertaining. Moving on. Leicester 1, Brighton 1. Chris is in the chat, who's a Leicester fan. What did you make of this one, Shaun?
Obviously we had Leicester midweek, didn't we? And I actually thought Brighton might get there and win, but Brighton, I love watching Brighton play. I've got to admit, I do enjoy watching them play. I think Lamptey's still not fit on the right back when he plays. I love watching him play. Obviously, he's one of many of the youngsters that Chelsea let go off their conveyor belt. Unfortunately, I think he's probably about out of Tottenham and West Ham's price range if they come to sell him. But he's a top little right back. He is.
Yeah.
Obviously Leicester probably still crying a little bit about Tottenham's win there midweek. But yeah, I think it's probably a bit of a predictable result, really. They're both going to sort of float around mid-table. They're both going to have the odd good win. But yeah, if I was going to be a neutral view, I do like watching Brighton play. If Brighton are playing someone like Arsenal or something like that, I don't often tune in the Arsenal games, but if Brighton are against them, I will go and watch them. So yeah, and obviously, I think I said to you last week whether Graham Potter would you swap him for Moyes in a year or two? Would Potter even go to West Ham at that level of club? I'm not sure, but I think
Potter's got Arsenal written all over it once they finally sack Arteta. I think
maybe, but you know how snobby Arsenal fans are. They'll probably look down at that, wouldn't they?
True.
They will. I think if Arsenal fans had the choice, they'd probably go for Vieira, but Potter's probably the best option now. Potter's probably the better option. Arsenal fans would be crying out for Vieira. That sums up Arsenal fans.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can be.
Oh, everything's just stopped. Right, there we go. Right, let's move on to the two main events of the weekend then. Plenty of VAR and mayhem to talk about in these next two games. We're going to start off with the Liverpool game. When you look at this, they beat Palace 3-1. You think that was pretty routine, but I watched most of this, and this was not routine in any sense of imagination. Liverpool are... I'll give my thoughts first. Liverpool were lucky to go in at 2-0, I thought. Palace had some really good chances, came out in the second half. They got a goal back, and then, they were gaining momentum, as Patrick Vieira said in his post-match interview. And then the Jotter penalty incident. I just want you to give your thoughts on that, Shaun. In any planet, on any football pitch, is that a penalty?
No, it's not. I couldn't even think what he did, what the player did wrong, really. It was just I don't know. Like you said, the game was closer than the scoreline suggested. Decisions like that is why a lot of people are very suspicious about big clubs getting decisions because the game wasn't as far from over before that was given. And when things like that are given, it raises so many question marks. And that's whether it was a penalty or not. I think the Premier League, especially referees, because don't forget, we brought in VAR. One of the main reasons VAR come in is because referees were getting a hard time. The press were destroying referees' decisions. You couldn't watch a game, you couldn't watch Soccer Saturday without half the talking points being decisions. So it's been brought in almost to sort of take that element away because we don't want to talk about that. And when they give decisions like that, especially for a title-chasing team, for example, which is what the Premier League probably want. No, the Premier League and Sky don't want Man City running away with the title, do they? They don't want Liverpool floating around second or third. So when they give a decision like that, which effectively kills a competitive game, it's creating too much talking point. They need to just... I know they've got to go by the laws, but sometimes... Well, when did they ever use common sense? So just use a bit of common sense, no pen, get on with the game. Let's have a competitive game. 3-1 kills it, and that's that. So yeah, I just think let's stop. We need to get away from any decisions being talking points. That is, I don't want to come on here talking about VAR. I don't want to come on here talking about comparing Harry Kane versus Southampton to Cavani. I don't want to talk about did someone have a tap on the shoulder and go down too soft. So VAR, the Premier League just need to let's get talking about football again. When was the last time we spoke about how good a player was? Not often. Yeah. It's not often. So yeah, it was stupid, but it's just another mid-table team killed of any chance of getting to top side. End of the day, how many times have we seen that?
Yeah, it's the bottom line, and because it's international break now, we're either going to do it at the end of the week or the start of next week. We have got to talk about VAR, and you're bang on with what you say, Shaun. Is the fact that we're not talking about football anymore. We're talking about VAR decisions. We're not talking about players. We're talking about VAR decisions, and it's so frustrating. But yet again, our next game, your game, I'm sure you've got some things you want to get off your chest because I don't particularly like Spurs, but the first thing I said is that's not a foul. Chelsea 2, Tottenham 0. Shaun, take it away.
Well, it's not a foul, is it? I think he puts an arm out. Silva, there's probably not many more experienced old dogs in the game than him. He knows he's slipping. He's going away from the ball. He got wrong-footed and he goes down. Strangely enough, I don't blame the defender because I said if you're experienced, you know the dark arts, don't you? Do you know what I mean? It's probably one of the reasons why Italy won the Euros. They had talent going forward. They still had the masters of dark arts at the back. It's part and parcel, and sometimes you can have the best centre half if he hasn't got that in his armour, he's probably not going to get to the very top. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to have it. It wasn't a foul, but because the still frame again has his arm out, looks like he's touching him on the shoulder. Still frames are also bad for decisions as well. It's absolutely ridiculous. You show a still frame 2 seconds apart. One's a foul, one's not. So that's another thing that he's ditching is the still frame. Twitter and social media loves the still frame. Do you know what I mean? Or a different angle. Look at that. He's wiping his leg out. He's clearly got the ball. But no, won't given. So we move on from that. To be honest with you, it's been a good week for Tottenham. It was a game that I wrote off before a ball was kicked from getting a result sort of standpoint. They've beaten us 4 times this year already, look, and we've barely laid a glove on them in all 4 games. I don't think this Chelsea team are brilliant by a long stretch, but sometimes you've just got that mental up on another team. Do you know what I mean? And I think every manager has a little cry. I think Tottenham is still struggling a little bit from COVID recovery. I think Conte's had to manage that. I think Conte's had to manage a few of his players a little bit more than he'd like to. I think they've got a few there who've got knocks that can't shake them. So if he had to put a team out, I would have took a point at the start all day long. But that was that. Like I said, I almost wrote the game off beforehand. I would have parked. If they parked the bus and got a 0-0, I'd have been over the moon. But it was a good win. Yeah. It's brilliant. They deserved to beat Leicester in the week. I know it was 2 goals in Fergie time, but they did play very well against Leicester. I think they had 27 chances on goal, and that's very high. I don't get why XG thing, which is all the rage, but I think it was the second highest XG of any Premier League game in the season by Tottenham. But same as West Ham, final week of the transfer window. I know you're short on time. I could talk for an hour about this, but I think we might be buying Adama Traore. I think Conte wants him. If he wants him, I've got to want him. I think we've got to have that attitude. But the worrying thing is, and Ndombele's the record signing. Conte. I wanted him gone 18 months ago. His attitude and his effort is nowhere near good enough. It looks like Lo Celso's the next one. He was fit yesterday, not in the squad. That's 110 million on 2 players we paid on that too. One thing,
Shaun. He did score them 2 goals in the week. I've been impressed in the last few weeks with Steven Bergwijn.
Well, he was off to Ajax last week for 20 million. So, he's one that Conte sort of praised a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like Conte, you can't help. He's not going to be at Tottenham long. I think we all know that. But I do like his honesty. He keeps coming out and saying he's had meetings with the board. He's told them what he thinks. He's clearly told them players he does want, he doesn't rate, don't work hard enough, wrong attitude, pick what you want. He's clearly told them which ones he doesn't want. But that thing is, it's hard because Lo Celso and Ndombele, they've neither been good enough in a Tottenham shirt. Lo Celso's class for Argentina, so we might find one of the reasons he's been set to go is because we might get a fee for him. When we're struggling to sell Ndombele, he seems like he may go to PSG on loan, which will suit him back in the French league. He'll probably tear that up because he can stroll about. And Dele Alli might go on loan to Newcastle, it seems. That could happen. Brian Hill.
I can see that, though.
Yeah, I think they want Pickford first. If that doesn't come off, they're going for Dele. Brian Hill, we've only had for 6 months. He's a very talented little boy. I call him a little boy. He's 20, but he plays like a little boy. He just gets bumped off the ball. So apparently there's a few good clubs in Spain that want him back on loan. I think it's a case of if we can get a fee for Lo Celso, then we can loan out and get Tang and Ndombele's on 200 grand a week. If we can get him off the wage bill, Dele's probably on 100 a week. If we can get them off, I'm hoping we can. I'm hoping we can at least get some players in that I've heard of. Let's start with that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a bit like West Ham, a bit like all the clubs. No one's doing a lot of business. There's not a lot of money about, so fans can't have meltdowns because there's. I don't know about West Ham, but I'm hearing more about Tottenham trying to tie up deals for the summer, like players who are running deals down, free agents.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Not many people are going to do a lot of business, I don't think. So if teams get 1 or 2 in, it's going to leave that top 4 wide open. And let's be honest, say we got 4 or 5 running for it. There's question marks about all of them. So
100%.
I don't know. Let's see how it goes.
Let's take some comments. David said, I am a particularly angry West Ham fan. It can only happen to West Ham. We've been crying out for a winter break. Then what happens? Our only striker goes off for 3 games. Can't make it up. Yeah, Antonio's off for 3 games in 7 days at Jamaica. Hopefully he comes back unscathed. Brighton are a really tough team to beat at times, definitely. Potter doing a great job. I thought we were very unlucky not to get what would have been a well-earned point, to be honest with you. Zuma and Dawson played very well. They gave Areola virtually nothing to do but call for the ball from Rose there. That's bang on. That's all I saw Fernandes do. 2 things Fernandes did on Saturday. The first thing was constantly moans at the referee all game. The second thing was blast shots over the bar. Liverpool, exactly. Anyone remember that Dawson penalty against Burnley? He hacked him down in the box. That was more of a penalty to Jotter and while there is wrongdoing, we will continue to talk about VAR. Bang on. I don't understand how the officials can be so bad with VAR right now. I honestly don't see what they're seeing in Stockley Park. They must be like drugged up or something. About time Harry Kane gets a decision against him. Centre-backs diving these days. Can you imagine Tony Adams or Alvin Martin doing that? No chance. Well, exactly. There you go. Right then, we're going to leave it there because we're now going to everyone watching this now. I want you to go over to Andy Shaun, West Ham Reunited. I believe Andy's talking about strikers tonight. Strikers under Gold and Sullivan. So that'll be interesting. See all of this stinkers we've had. We're going to be back with shows in the week and talking a little bit more about VAR and a little bit about the Premier League. And of course, more content to come. If we sign anybody, I'll talk about it. But at this rate, I'm not going to be doing that because we're not going to sign anybody. Shaun, I'll see you next week. Pleasure as always.
Okay, mate. Take care. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to West Ham Unofficial. And I'll catch you next week. From me, come on, you irons. And I'll see you very, very soon. Cheers.